What is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. Hey, in this video I wanted to do something a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit on the longer side for my uploads, which usually fluctuate between 8 and 12 minutes long. But I thought this would be a solid opportunity to unpack everything I think Destiny needs in order to have the PvP experience be the best version of itself we could possibly have. Now, a few things to address before we start diving into this list. Please try to listen to each of these before throwing shade or dropping your personal lists in the comment section. It's important to understand the breadth of everything first, because they all tend to interact with one another and kind of affect how the other points work. You'll get it as we get to it. So before you start making corrections, try to listen to them all first. Secondly, this list is not in order of importance, so don't make the assumption that my last suggestion is the least among them, and, comment accordingly. Third, this isn't absolutely everything on my list. I'm going to omit things that are already slated to be released, such as consistently adding new maps and modes to shake up the experience. These things are definitely big-ticket items, but this video assumes that Bungie is going to make good on their timeline, and we'll start having these things rolled out regularly after Witch Queen ships. This video also assumes that Bungie will continue their recent trend of making regular sandbox tune-ups, leading to more variety from season to season. They've done a good job at that recently, and I do want to give credit where credit is due. This isn't a video just bashing them. It's a video about making suggestions for taking the PvP experience further, but also giving credit to the changes that they've already actively been making. All right, with that in mind, let's dive into my list. The first thing I want to talk about is the dissension among the Destiny community lately, revolving around the Trials of Osiris changes. Depending on what side of the spectrum you find yourself on, you probably blame the sweats for gatekeeping trials, or the casuals for taking away your fun, or whatever. So here's the reality as far as I see it. Bungie is actively trying to make changes around a certain vision for the Trials experience. That vision, I believe, is to create a playlist that is friendly to players of all levels of skill. But it isn't intended to be farmed for hours and hours and hours and hours on end, unless you're willing to fight tooth and nail for your loot past a certain point. Their vision is that you get a team together, or sometimes maybe you take the solo route, and you jump into the playlist and just invest your time and energy into it for a short while. You get some loot, and then you probably bounce. Some weeks you get the flawless loot, some weeks you don't, but it's approachable, it's casual friendly. And then you leave. So the longer you play, the harder it's going to get, as they want to make sure that those people pounding their heads against the wall trying to go flawless eventually will do so. So they've had all these different, myriad of different ways they're trying to get the better players out of the same pools as the more casual players late in the week who still haven't managed to go flawless. So that's why we're assuming this is their vision. So if you're a really strong PvPer, you're likely not going to match against those people who have been losing over and over and over again later in the week. It's going to keep you separate because you clearly don't need easy matches, and they clearly do. Now, the strong PvPers, they don't like this. Some of them like to do carries. That's their thing. Many don't even stream these, so it's not about making money. I know that's often a big criticism about these types of players. I know personally a lot of players, some of them are in my clan that I run, they don't stream it. They just really enjoy getting into the clan chat room and saying, hey, I'm going to play some trials. If anybody hasn't gone flawless this week, I'd love to help you out. For these people, it's just about the satisfaction of helping people get to the lighthouse. But the more they play in a weekend, the harder their carries are going to be. And the harder it's going to be for those players getting carried to actively contribute. Now, some players don't like these changes because, frankly, they enjoy cards where they stomp in 5-0 every team. They like feeling powerful. That's why a couple weeks ago, they were all resetting at 6 wins. They didn't want to get in the flawless pool. Why? They don't care about flawless loot. They got it seasons ago. What they want to do is stomp casual players and feel really strong and really powerful. These are the people that I tend to throw shade at. But they like feeling powerful, and they like feeling like Trials is a hardcore activity, and getting flawless loot should be a hard thing to do. That's their belief. So whatever their motivation is, most high-end players don't feel good about Trials getting easier for the casual gamer and harder for the elite gamer. And I totally understand that mindset. I'm not here to crap on that or throw shade at that mindset. Some of the people have bad motivations for that. Some of them have really good motivations for that feeling. But here's the root of the problem, in my opinion, and the best way to address this issue as far as I'm concerned. The problem is that Destiny does not allow the hardcore player to have an environment where they can flex their skill. Right now, they're running to trials for that. There's no place where they can go to and battle it out against other great teams and have something to show for it. There's no genuine rank. There's no matchmaking based off of your rank. No new emblems, shaders, or armor ornaments. Nothing they can show off to broadcast their accomplishments. Right now, to these players, Destiny is about giving the carrot to the casual player and the stick to the elite player. But if Bungie were to overhaul the comp experience and provide these things and provide that environment for the elites, that would alleviate almost all of the tension around trials, I think. Elites are not going to care about flexing trials wins and flawless tickets, because frankly, if there's a genuine ranked competitive experience, then they would get memed on like crazy for being trial sweats in that community. They would stop caring about gatekeeping trials loot, and they would start caring about chasing new accolades, pushing through tough teams to get to that emblem, to get to that shader, to get those armor ornaments, and maybe even an ornament for the current Crucible seasonal weapon, right? Like the Sorrow's Verse or the Epitaph, the Frozen Orbit before those. To have a special ornament that would change the way that gun looks would be something worth chasing for these players. We saw in the past that when comp has something to chase, these players, they go hard. There was always the comp race to see who would get to Unbroken that season first, right? And that helps take a lot of the sweaty pressure off of trials and the standard PvP playlists as well. The hardcore players are going to be in a different space a lot of the time, hunting for specific accolades. We saw that with the Redrix's Claymore and with the Legend rank ornament for it. That ornament remains to be the most exclusive item in the history of Destiny 2. There are no other in-game rewards that are more rare than that specific ornament. There were, if I remember correctly, less than 2,000 people globally who earned it. I got one of them, and it's a huge flex in the PvP community. Not a lot of people were able to grind to the top of the ranking system to get it. Beyond that, we saw the Not Forgotten drum up tons of hype. Now, I still think that it was a bad idea to put the most powerful weapon in the sandbox at the time in the hands of only the best players. But if it was a less powerful weapon, I'd be fine with it, being the Legend rank reward. Or an exclusive weapon or armor ornament, shader, emblem. Those things that allow good players to peacock and flex their accomplishments, it really drums up great competition. If you overhaul the comp systems and offer that experience, you'll solve a lot of the dissension in the community today. I think you'd also need to make comp require the latest DLC, just like trials, in order to ensure better protection from cheaters as well. It won't weed them all out, but it'll definitely help. Okay, so that was the first thing on the list. The second one is this. I believe Bungie needs to, again, simplify their playlists. Clash, or the general team deathmatch mode, should not be a rotating playlist that comes up every month or two. Clash, in my opinion, should be part of the quick play playlist. Control and Clash used to be in the same playlist, and you just got that mixed bag of experiences. It was perfect in that regard. I think we should go back to that. Not everyone wants to play objective modes all the time. We need a variety of experiences from match to match in the standard playlist. When you offer each game mode a la carte, in their own specific playlists, you just split up the population into even smaller groups, thus harming the quality of the matchmaking and lobby balancing experiences. Matchmaking systems work best when there is a large player base to pull from. But every week, we're taking our player base, and we're dividing it multiple times. First, we take the big number of players and we split them between, okay, who's playing trials? Some of these guys are playing trials and some of them are not. They're just in the standard playlist. Then, are they in control or are they in the rotator? Or elimination? There's multiple playlists there for them to interact with. Then, based on region and connection, etc., etc., ultimately you end up matching a lot of similar names and faces. Even though the total population is high, your pool at any given moment is actually not that large. Alrighty, moving on to the third item on my list. Bungie needs to take a good hard look at how their lobby balancing system works. I agree that lobby balancing needs to happen, but their current system is way too oversimplified and impractical. And the players punished the most with this system, with this current system, are the most casual players in the lobby. And that goes directly against Bungie's openly stated vision for their PvP, which is supposed to be approachable and enjoyable for all types of players. So let's take a moment to unpack what lobby balancing is and how it works, because I still see a lot of people confidently get this wrong. Right now, there is no skill-based matchmaking in the Sixes playlists. It's purely connection-based. What the game does is it tries to randomly find 12 players with an acceptable connection to each other as quickly as possible. This is not always perfect. After a while, it'll loosen up on how strict that connection quality needs to be if it isn't finding people quickly enough. The idea is that a match with a bad connection or two is better than a match with good connections that takes 5 to 8 minutes to find. So that's step one. The game just gets 12 people together randomly in one lobby without skill being a factor. The next thing the game is going to do is it's got to split up the teams, right? It's 12 people, but you got to pick who's on what team. Now it does not do this randomly. Basically, the game attributes a skill value to every player. We don't know the specifics of how Bungie gauges skill, but we know that they do in fact determine the value of your personal skill. So it's going to then split up the teams in a very simple way. It's going to find the combination of players on each team that basically makes the average skill level between the two teams about the same. So we're going to talk numbers here, so just kind of follow me for a minute. So for example, if you had on a scale of 1 to 10 players in the lobby at 5 skill level and 2 with a 4 skill level, right? 10 5s, 2 4s. Then it would give each team 5 5s and 1 4. Okay, so each team has 5 people of an average skill level of 5 and 1 person at a 4 skill level. And the average skill levels are the same from team to team, right? It's pretty simple math here. Now, in theory, this system works, but the problem is that this system in practice can really suck for the low skill level players whenever there is a talented gamer in the lobby, and that happens. In a group of 12 players, there's a decent chance your lobby is going to have at least one really talented PvPer. Now follow me here. Let's say this is the scenario. Let's just say we're going to use 10 people. I know there's no 5v5 playlist, but it just makes the math easier for people to think through. So let's say the game selects 10 people at random, and these are their skill levels on a scale of 1 to 10. Of these 10 people, you have a 1, a 2, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, and 1 10. Oh, there's an outlier in the lobby. So how is this going to shake down? Well, the skill levels all added up is 40. So we need to get a total skill value of 20 on each team, and that would be even, right? So the best combination to make that happen is to have the 10, the 3 3s, and the 1 all on the same team. Then the other team is the 2, 2 4s, and 2 5s. Perfect. Both teams are a total of 20 skill level, or rather an average skill level across both teams equal to 4. So on paper, both teams have the same skill value, cumulative skill value. Now, we know this is how Bungie's system works. We assumed as much for a while, but then they just came out and said, yep, that's what the game does. So on paper, this is a great matchup, right? But in practice, it doesn't work out very well at all. Here's why. Look at the team with the 10. One player on that team is a boss. And look, it doesn't matter what lobby you put them in, they're going to play like a 10. In this lobby, they're going to drop 40 kills and go way positive, no problem at all. But look at everyone else on their team. You've got the 1 and the 3 3s. The 1 isn't going to have a good gunfight ever in this match. Everyone on the enemy team is better than they are. So the worst player in the lobby is going to have the worst time, obviously. That seems pretty obvious, but then move on. Now you've got the 3 3s. There is one person on the other team that they're slightly better than. But then every other player that they come in contact with during that match is a better player than they are. Almost all of their gunfights are going to be uphill battles against better players. So who is going to have a hard time in this lobby? Is it the 10? No, they're going to frag out. Is it the 5s? Nah, they're better than almost everyone on the enemy team. They're going to do great. Is it the 4s? No, they're better than almost everyone on the enemy team. They're going to do great. It's the more casual players in the lobby. The 3s are going to get stomped, and the 1 is going to get absolutely demolished. This is the real problem. When an outlier is in the lobby, the game has to offset their skill by tanking the average team skill level by putting the worst players in the lobby on their team. And the casual gamer suffers for it. The 10, nah, they're going to go on Twitter, they're going to share a screenshot of their 40 or 50 kill game, and everyone else on their team is going to be negative, or almost everyone. And they're going to lose the game. They're going to say, well, I tried, but Bungie has given me terrible teammates. They aren't the real victim here. I mean, they slayed out. The real victim is the casual player in the lobby who stood no chance. So what's the solution? I've said it for a long time now. I think Bungie needs to find a way to incorporate outlier protection for casual gamers. There are some people who should never be in the same lobby together. 10s and 1s shouldn't be matching each other. 2s and 10s shouldn't either. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, if there's a difference of 8 skill level or more, then they should never match unless they're in a pre-made fire team with one another. You might ask, is this a form of skill-based matchmaking? We don't like that around here. And I guess the answer is yes. I mean, it's not strict skill-based matchmaking. It's not trying to matchmake you based on your skill and trying to find people at your same level. It's not strict skill-based matchmaking, but it's outlier protection. Either they need to rethink the way they split up the teams, or they need to avoid the problem altogether by keeping outliers, 10s and 1s, separated. Either way, the current system isn't working too well in my experience. I want PvP to be fun for everyone, and I want the 2s and the 3s to have a good time in PvP. Okay, on to the fourth thing on my list. Bungie needs to finally settle on a good cadence for their PvP events. The two focal events in PvP are Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris. We've mentioned Trials earlier and how we alleviate some of the pressure there, but let's tackle Iron Banner first. Iron Banner doesn't play too bad right now. You've got the team-based playlist and you've got the freelance option there as well. I'd love to see the outlier protection that I just suggested for 6s exist here in Iron Banner as well to help ensure the most casual players don't queue into unwinnable matches. But I think Iron Banner's biggest issue is the loot system. Right now, it's a genuine nightmare trying to farm for something specific in Iron Banner. You get very few tokens per match, and the price for a rank up drop is steep. Not only is the price steep, but the loot pool is so saturated with items that your chances of getting the thing that you want are low, and your chances of getting the role you want on the thing you want are astronomically lower yet. It's like playing the lottery. You're most likely going to lose far more than you gain. Something has to change there. They've mentioned this is something that they're looking into, but we want to see Iron Banner continue to incentivize players by introducing brand new and reprised loot like armor and weapons, but also allow players to increase their chances of getting meaningful rewards that they actually want. The current trial system wouldn't be bad, honestly. Right now, if you play trials, then you can intentionally farm specific items in the trials pool, assuming that you've had at least one of that item organically drop before. That would work great for Iron Banner too. Either way, something's got to give here. It's an activity that drowns you in rewards and almost none of them matter. Alright, moving on to Trials. The biggest issue here is that Trials has an identity crisis and no consistency and predictability right now. Hi baby, what's this?
It's a note.
Oh, it says Dad!
Look at my back.
Is it a heart?
Yeah.
Aw, thank you so much, honey.
You're welcome. I gave it to Mom and Mom didn't even see me.
She didn't? Oh, okay. Give me a high five. Thanks, baby, for the note. I love it.
You're welcome.
Okay, where were we? Trials. I give a little bit of grace here because we know that Bungie has been openly experimenting for a while now with Trials, trying to find the right recipe to make Trials fit their vision for their activity. I'm totally fine with making Trials an activity that is approachable for all players and has dope loot for everyone to access. That's fine by me. But we haven't found the best way to make that happen. I don't think the win-based matchmaking we had this past week works. I took the weekend off of Destiny to be with my kids, celebrating Halloween, having lots of fun with festivities. So I came strolling into Trials on Monday, having no real wins yet. And I queued against a lot of negative KD players and just casually strolled solo queuing all the way to the lighthouse. The goal, I think, was to weed out good players early and give them, keep them matching each other. But I just ended up ruining a lot of people's Trials matches on Monday, and I did not need to be matching those players. But this system is very easily bypassed, and I think I proved that unintentionally. Flawless Pool punishes people who want to play with their friends and farm loot, even if their friends aren't good at the game. Bungie needs to find a solution that suits everyone and discourages top-tier players from just farming low-skill teams, because right now that's what every weekend seems to be turning into. We need consistency and a definable identity to the Trials experience. And that's the extent of my list of things of the highest priority right now. Again, this is assuming we're getting new maps regularly starting in the spring of next year, and it's assuming that we're going to continue to get consistent sandbox updates to keep things fresh. But what do you think? Where are you with all of this right now? What would be on your list that maybe wasn't on mine? And what do you think about where Bungie should take the PvP experience? One thing worth mentioning is that there are a lot of people who believe Bungie should just drop PvP altogether. That's literally never going to happen. It's literally never going to happen. They've openly said that. It's a huge population that they would be, they'd be burning, and they would be irate. They don't want to burn bridges. Frankly, there's no version of Destiny that doesn't have PvP that I would ever want to be a part of personally, and I know that a lot of other players are in the same boat. Alrighty, thanks for watching the video. I know it was a longer one, but that's okay. Maybe we'll revisit this video in a year, and we'll see where we're at and what kind of progress we've made. So feel free to stop by the Facebook page, by the way, at truevanguard.com, because we post more VOD content there almost every day. It's good fun. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.